r/askreddit, what is an opinion you have turned 180 degrees on? Cats. I used to think they were weird and I was allergic anyway, so they're probably bad anyway. Then I met my boyfriend and his cat is so in love with me. I didn't know cats could be this affectionate. Then I got my own cat. And that's when a pet became a partnership for me. A lot of people aren't a cat person until a cat chooses them, lol. A tale as old as time. Cats are hard to understand at first, but once you do, it's just pure love and appreciation for these magnificent creatures. That sex education shouldn't be taught to children too young. Then I read a story about a girl who read about sex education in a book and told her mom, "Daddy does this to me." Turns out daddy has been sexually abusing her for ages. Some priest advocated for sexual and overall that sort of education in schools after he saw a funeral of a 14-year-old girl who committed suicide because she got her period and didn't know what it was. The importance of the Oxford comma. I used to be against it because "and" takes the place of the comma. How young and foolish I was. I love, respect, and admire your choice. I went on vacation with my sisters, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Good to know you have seen the light, smiley face. I love the Oxford comma and cannot fathom why anyone would want to do away with it. Well-traveled people are open-minded. I've met people who've traveled a lot but are still very judgmental. Edit, grammar. Giving people life advice unprompted. Realized that folks are too complicated to think I'd give any useful advice while knowing comparatively little about them. Plus, half the time it was advice I needed to follow, not for them to listen. I've traveled a good amount, and some of the well-traveled folks I've come across are seriously fucking annoying. It's kind of funny, because there are two very opposite sides of the spectrum. Some people who are so close-minded that they can't fathom why another society would do things differently. Some people who are so open-minded that their brains have fallen out. Having a roommate. There are far more bad roommates than decent ones. It's not worth the headache. I'd rather work my ass off at work with a bunch of assholes than have to come home and deal with any other asshole than my own. I used to think sometimes people had differences, but between living with a drunk, then a drug dealer, then a passive-aggressive neat freak who weaponized property management, I honestly think bad roommates are far too many in number. Used to believe that drunks and drug users were losers. Thanks, dear. Now I'm much older, have seen the evils of this world, have realized I don't even know 1% of how hard life can be for some people, and completely understand why people would do anything to kill that pain. Addiction is a slow burn suicide. Beyond that, some people are just predisposed to addiction. They didn't do anything wrong, their body is just made that way. I used to believe I was always right. Now I am nearly certain I am wrong most of the time. I used to hold the suicide is selfish stance back when I was a teen/20-something, even after having completed a psych degree. I understand now that self-harm and suicide are symptoms of greater illness. I no longer view it as a choice in most circumstances. I can only feel sorry for suicidal people. They don't want to die or make other people upset, they just want to get rid of the pain. I was pro-soda, and I would drink disgusting amounts. Thank the genetic lottery diabetes doesn't run in my family. Now, water all the way. The real adult drink. Good God, I have friends who do this to me and it annoys me to no end. They believe they're the experts on everything and their lives are shit. Pretty much all of my opinions aside from my political ones. My God, I see my old Facebook posts and wince. I was so judgmental. Ironically, a lot of things I judge people for struggling with, I'm now struggling with. But I've also grown. I understand deep-rooted issues like abusive partners, poverty, systemic racism, etc. I now only judge people who wear socks with sandals, and even that is wavering as I've discovered how comfortable it can be. Similar but about fanny packs. If we prevent building more housing, my neighborhood will keep its character and charm. Nope, instead it will price out my friends, become a haven for the well-to-do, and see an influx of homelessness. I was a left NIMBY and now I am a left HIMBY. I grew up in a historic reserve town where you almost can't build anything new, and I feel this. In that town's case I think it's worth it given the history, but in general it's made me appreciate responsible development. I used to be afraid of flying. Now working on my pilot's license. Two more light-hearted things. Cheese. Used to hate it as a child. Robo-umps in MLB. Now in favor. The Venn diagram overlap of baseball fans and people who spell favor with a "you can't" be very large. What's your nationality? I used to be of the opinion that the government should not be in the business of marriage because they shouldn't be allowed to tell me who can be married. Now I believe the government shouldn't be involved in marriages because they shouldn't tell me who can't get married. The only involvement the government should have in marriage is protecting minors from being legally handed over to adult predators by their piece of shit parents, which the government, of the United States, at least, is currently failing at. Legalized pot and gay marriage. Growing up in the 1950s and 1960s, those were ridiculous ideas, completely ridiculous. Support for them would have been in the single digits, if that. Times change. Experience teaches us surprising things, and rational people evolve their opinions and beliefs as they learn. Now it seems ludicrous to think back to when people were arrested for personal use of pot, or that gay people haven't always been able to marry. Social media. I came of professional age right alongside Facebook and thought it was going to be this great thing that brought people together. I was wrong about that. Olives? They are so amazing and I can't get enough of them. I used to think they were disgusting. I grew up Catholic, and was very pro-life. When I got to college, I started to realize, life is very complicated, and everyone has different circumstances. It shouldn't be preachers and politicians dictating what a person does with their body. Abortion. I used to think if you're mature enough to engage in sex then you're mature enough to deal with potential consequences. Now I feel that if a woman has determined she does not want to be a mother then she should not have to be. Could be because of medical or financial issues, absent partner, or family support, or simply lack of desire, among countless other reasons. Forcing someone to raise a child is cruel to be mother and child. You need a partner to be happy in life and find purpose. No, you absolutely do not. Lots of racist shit I believed in high school. Mental health is fake and a bunch of people that just need to put on their big girl panties. And then I had a breakdown back in 2013. I was wrong. It did. For a while. If it was really that bad, she would just leave. Then I was in an abusive relationship and realized that it's never that easy. I saw a TED Talk where the speaker summarized her experience brilliantly. I wasn't in an abusive relationship, I was in a complicated relationship with a man who only I understood. Edit. Thanks at Malbec_14 for adding the link below. If I eat this, insert any rubbish food, it'll be fine. My body doesn't care. 30 YRS on, and yes indeed. The body did care. It tells me every day how much it cared. I haven't been able to eat deep fried stuff in over a decade.